Now that we've created our sample lines and ultimately our sections, let's create our section views. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our exercise file 0903 section view. We see here our sample lines being drawn in plan view. And if of course we look through Prospector, we'd see our sections and sample lines showing up in our sample line group. If we go to our home ribbon under Profile and Section Views, you'll see here, listed at the very bottom, the ability to create section views. And instead of having just single section view, you'll notice at the bottom you have the ability to create section views. But unlike profile views, most of the time you're not just creating one section view. So create multiple views is the first option. And we're going to use this. If you can create multiple views, creating one is very simple. When we choose create multiple views, we have a wizard to walk through, similar to profile views with some slight, of course, adjustments. We're going to focus on those adjustments. You have the alignment, and depending on the alignment, the sample line group that you're going to be using to create the multiple section views. Even though you have all the sample line group available, are you only going to use certain sample lines along a station range, maybe 10 plus 00 to 15 plus 00? Or are you going to go the entire length of the alignment and sample line group? So in this case, we're going the full length of the alignment. It's going to create a grid and give it a name, put it on a layer, and use a certain view style. In this case, 2-time exaggeration. Here's where this really differs. How do we know how many cross-sections to lay out before we need to go ahead and spread some distance? Because most of the time, cross-sections, especially on roadway projects, can be the most amount of sheets for the entire design. And so we want to be able to lay them out quickly for planned production. So what Civil 3D has done is it's provided you the ability to grab a template or an existing drawing, have the layout already set up with a viewport. That viewport has a certain control and setting. All of this will be done by your CAD manager. And then it will read the scale and figure out how many cross-sections it can fit in that viewport. So let's see how this works. I'm going to click the 3 dots. And we're going to go, of course, to our standard template location. Now, out of the box, AutoCAD provides all of these things. And we're going to choose Plan Production. And we're going to choose Civil 3D Imperial section. In that drawing, here are the different layouts that we can use to create section sheets. So we're going to choose Arch D section 20 scale. And so now it knows exactly how many cross sections it can fit into that sheet, with one exception. How much space is there between each cross section? How much space is there horizontally between each cross section? All of these different settings. In fact, how do you want to lay out your cross sections? Do you want to lay them out in columns or in rows? All these different things, that's stored in the group plot style. So all these different controls and settings for how much space and the direction and layout and so forth is actually a style in the drawing. Once we begin creating the cross section and the section views, what is the offset range, or how wide do you want the section views to be? We're going to stick with automatic. In other words, stick with the width of the swath, or the offset that we find in our sample lines. Same with our elevations, whatever the elevations, to provide all the information that we sampled on that section view. Here are all the items we sampled, but do we want to have them all drawn? In this case, yes, we're going to draw them all. Let's look at our data bands. We can add data bands as well. And most of the time I don't add data bands simply because of the amount of space that they would add to the overall sheet. So we don't have one that we're going to use in this exercise. But just like profile views, you can have band sets on section views. Let's go ahead and create our section views. And there we go. We see all the different sheets, and they're laid out. They're placed in such a way that they're located nicely on the sheet. And because the style for group plot layout has them placed from the lower left, and you work your way in columns. So lower left and you work your way up, lower left, you work your way up. And so these are all ready to go. We can literally just create our layout tabs and have our 3 sheets ready to print.